Let me guess, you've got a nice sum of American Express points and you're trying to book a domestic flight, but you got no clue how. Whatever you do, do not book this flight through the American Express travel portal until you watch this video. I'm going to show you how you might be missing out on a better deal for the same exact flight. We'll be doing this by using Amex's airline transfer partners. And there's potentially 8 of these partners that can come into play whenever you're coming to book a domestic flight. And I know that that sounds overwhelming, but I'm going to show you how you can find these flights on any of these airlines with just one tool. That tool is called points.ch.page. I'm going to show you with 4 different scenarios how you could book American, United, Delta, and JetBlue flights with your American Express points. Be sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to show you how to identify when this is actually a deal to pursue. Let's get into it. So this is points.ch.page. I'll have an affiliate link down in the description if you're interested, but this tool is completely free to use. All you have to do is just create an account and log in. And now Points.ch is one of many award search tools out there that are designed to help you find award flights easier. Points.ch searches 21 different airline programs all at once, and they give you these results within a 20-second time span. And it's very easy to use, Google Flights-esque looking interface here. And so we're just going to jump right in and get started by searching from JFK to LAX. We'll search during this time in March. With the free version of this tool, you search 4 days at a time. With the pro subscription, you can search 8 days at a time. So that's why I'm going to search from the 11th through the 18th. We're just going to leave these other filters alone right now because we can change those later down the way. I'm just going to search for this one-way itinerary for right now. Within 20 seconds or so, it's going to give you these results here. And you can see you've got the days lined up and you've got a lot of different filters that you can use up top. We can see that it's sorted from the lowest points price to the highest already. And we can see that JetBlue is going to be our best bet. And American Express does transfer to JetBlue. However, from here, you do want to go ahead and use this bank programs filter and search just for American Express points. And as we can see, the number of points required to transfer over to JetBlue changes. It tells you that the flight itself costs 10,800 JetBlue points. However, you're going to need to transfer around 13,500 American Express membership rewards over to JetBlue. And this is because American Express transfers to JetBlue at a 1 to a 0.8 ratio, which means you have to spend a little bit more American Express points. In contrast, Chase and Citi both transfer at a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you have points with Chase or Citi and you're trying to book a JetBlue flight, you would really want to use those points instead because you're using fewer of them and getting a better deal that way. By the way, if you're interested in what this is my transfer partner guide. It's available for free. That's linked down in the description for you to check out. So this is currently the best deal. It will be on Blue Basic and you can see all the dates that it's available across here. Now let's say you want to go ahead and book this flight. You can hit view details here just to get more details on the flight itself. If there's any connections, you can see that information. And then what you'll first want to do is just verify on the airline's website that it's available. So you could click yeah, let's go up top here. And this is what you want to do before you transfer your points. It takes us to JetBlue's website and we can see those flights here for just 10,800 points for March 11th. And if you don't know how to transfer your points from American Express, it's very simple. You just log into your American Express account, select this rewards and benefits from the top menu, and you'll hit this drop down menu, earn and redeem, and select transfer points. From here, it will take you to the full list of American Express's transfer partners, and you'll find whichever partner you're looking for. In this instance, we're looking at JetBlue. And then once you open this up, it'll ask for your JetBlue TrueBlue account number. You'll get that from the JetBlue website, plug that in, do some 2-factor authentication, and then you can just transfer your points from here over to JetBlue. Those points will take some time to transfer. Some partners are instantaneous. Some of them take some time. My transfer partner guide has estimates in terms of how long those points can take to transfer. Once those points hit your JetBlue account, for example, you can then go ahead and book this flight on their website. So that's the full process on how you would book a flight using this tool. But let me show you how to look for flights on Delta, American, and United as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show you another search. You could just click this pencil to go ahead and change that. I'm going to look from San Francisco over to Hawaii for this one, and we'll search the same dates here. And again, I'm not going to touch the filters until after we do the search. So now our award search is done here, and we're showing Alaska Airlines as the cheapest flight option, which we don't have Alaska Airlines miles, but we do have American Express. So let's go ahead and put that filter on. And we can see up top here that Delta is actually going to be our cheapest option here. It's going to cost us 11,000 points. This is going to be bookable with Delta Sky Miles itself, because if you didn't know, American Express can transfer directly to Delta Sky Miles. You don't actually need a Delta card from American Express in order to do this. So that's nice. But if you do have a Delta card, you can transfer your American Express points that you earn from your gold, platinum, or green card, and it will cost you less points because you have a Delta Amex card, and it shows you that points price here. Now, the problem with these cheap Delta flights is that they are in their basic cabin. And then if we check out Delta's website, we can see that the main classic is going to cost 15,800 points. And the main difference I care about between these two prices is going to be being able to cancel this flight and getting my miles back. So you do want to pay attention and check out to see what this main classic fare is compared to this basic. Unless you're truly okay with it, then by all means, go for the cheaper fare. Now, another important thing to be aware of with Delta flights and booking flights with Delta Miles specifically is that Delta is one of those unique transfer partners where oftentimes if you book a round trip ticket with your Delta Sky Miles, you might get a little bit of a discount or a cheaper price versus paying for one-way flights. For instance, this round trip flight from San Francisco to Honolulu costs 21,100 miles, but if you add up the cost of this departing flight of 10,900 with the return flight of 11,100, it should be 22,000 miles. So in this specific instance, you're only saving 900 miles, but in other cases, it can be a couple thousand points of savings that you're looking at here. So if you are booking a true round trip itinerary and you're looking to use Delta Sky Miles, be sure to check on Delta's website as a round trip booking to see if you could save some extra miles here. And then thirdly, there is an additional 2 ways that you could book this same Delta flight using a different airline's miles. If you go to the airline programs drop-down menu, you're going to be looking at Air France and Virgin Atlantic. So if we filter for Air France specifically and take off Delta Sky Miles, we can see that those points options are going to be 24,500 points, which is a big difference compared to the almost 11,000 that we were going to pay earlier. And then Virgin Atlantic has a worse price of 33,000 points. Now, it's not always the case that Flying Blue has cheaper pricing than Virgin Atlantic. It can go back and forth. And it's not always the case that these two partners have such a big different price from Delta's flights. It's significantly higher in this case because of this connecting flight. These programs tend to charge more per segment that's added on to the whole itinerary. Also, whenever you're looking at Delta flights bookable with Virgin Atlantic or Flying Blue, those flights are actually going to be on the classic main cabin, not on the basic tier. So you're going to want to compare that price to the main classic fare on Delta, not the basic cabin fare, because you're getting two different products here. And then one more very important key thing to remember is that whenever you do book Delta flights on a partner airline like KLM or Virgin Atlantic, you are subject to KLM's and Virgin Atlantic's cancellation policy. For Flying Blue's cancellation fees is actually 70 euros per ticket, and then Virgin Atlantic charges $100 per ticket. So be sure that you're going to be able to take this flight whenever you book it, or that you're okay with paying that fee. Otherwise, it may be best to stick with Delta Miles and paying for that main cabin fare with free cancellation. But now let's move on to United flights. So we're going to search this itinerary between Dallas and Washington, D.C. in mid-August. Now, without any filters, it shows that American Airlines is going to be our cheapest way to book this flight. However, we don't have American Airlines miles, nor do we have United. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use another one of American Express's transfer partners in order to book this United flight. So we're going to put on our American Express filter here, and then it looks like Delta is going to be our next cheapest option, but let's say we don't really want a connection here. So let's go ahead and put on this nonstop filter, and our price is just going to be a little bit more at 14,000 points instead 13,500, which I think is pretty worth it. So we can see that this partner is going to be with Avianca Life Miles. Now, Avianca Life Miles is a South American carrier. However, it's in the same airline alliance as United Airlines, so we're able to book those flights through their program instead. Now, what is an airline alliance? It's just a group of airlines that have partnered with each other. That allows like the code share of flights, how you could book a flight on United to Frankfurt on United Airlines, and then from Frankfurt to Rome on Lufthansa, all within one ticket whenever you purchase it. Well, in the points of miles world, it lets you book United flights with Avianca Airlines, for example. In addition to booking those flights with Avianca, you could book it potentially with any of these other Star Alliance airlines like Air Canada, Singapore Airlines, ANA. However, for Delta flights bookable with American Express points, the main two partners you'll look at is going to be Avianca and Air Canada. This airline alliance concept is the same reason why we're able to book Delta flights on partner programs like KLM, Air France, and Virgin Atlantic. That's because they're all part of the Sky team. And JetBlue, on the other hand, is not part of an airline alliance. They do have partnerships with specific airlines, but not a group of airlines like we've talked about so far. Another Another unique thing about this specific itinerary here is if we click view details, we can see that this price is actually 15,000 life miles or Avianca life miles that it costs. However, it's only costing us 14,000 American Express points. Even though American Express transfers at a 1-to-1 ratio over to Avianca, there's currently a transfer bonus of 15%. So from time to time, banks like American Express, they offer these transfer bonuses. So that way you can transfer your points from American Express to a specific partner. And for this instance, we're getting 15% more points. These are limited time offers. For example, this one ends on November 30th. They come and go throughout the year. If you want to know when these transfer bonuses are going on, be sure to sign up for my newsletter. I'll have that link down in the description below this video. Within it, you get a weekly tip, and I also share with you the transfer bonuses every week. And so if you didn't want to book with Avianca Life Miles for some reason, you do also see that Air Canada is an option. So if we filter for those results, we can see that this flight is also bookable for 5,000 points. I would check both because sometimes Avianca charges a little bit less, sometimes Air Canada charges a little bit less. Now, if we're talking about cancellation fees though, Avianca might be a little bit less. They typically charge around $50 to cancel. However, they also have a $25 booking fee whenever you go to book this flight online. Air Canada's cancellation fee, from what I can see online, is 100 Canadian dollars. So Avianca tends to be the better cancellation policy here. However, their customer service isn't known to be the greatest. So you really got to pick your poison here and hope you don't need to cancel that flight whenever you're booking this. Now let's look at a flight from Philadelphia over to Orlando at the beginning of June, where we'll go ahead and search for an American Airlines flight. American Airlines can be a little bit interesting here because obviously American Express doesn't transfer to American Airlines. The cheapest prices are honestly going to usually be with Alaska Airlines or with American Airlines themselves, but we can still book them. So we're going to filter for American Express membership rewards. We see there's a JetBlue flight, and so that is a very nice price. But let's say we're interested in a non-stop flight that we're looking for, and we can see that we can book American Airlines flights via Qantas for 14,000 points, and that's not terrible. However, we know that it will be available if we do see a flight on Qantas Airlines and if it's a non-stop itinerary. If that's the case, then we are able to check this other partner, and that's going to be Qatar Airways. This is QatarAirways.com, and this is where we'll actually double check the search to see if that flight is available. So first you'll need to create an account and log in here. Once you're logged in here, we can search for that same flight that we found on Points here. Just by going to this book a flight area, select one way, book using Avios, Philadelphia to Orlando, the date and the number of passengers. And we're going to go ahead and hit search flights here. And then just like that, we can see that it is available for just 13,000 points one way compared to the 14,000. So it's an extra 1,000 points that you can save here. And the taxes and fees, if you're wondering, is going to be $4.50 for this flight. It's comparable to Qantas's price as well. Now, a fun fact about Qatar Airways is that they actually use a currency called Avios. And other airlines that use the Avios currency include British Airways, Iberia, Aer Lingus, Logan Air, Vueling, and Finnair. So if you have points with British Airways or Finnair, you can actually transfer them first all into within British Airways, and then you could transfer from British Airways into Qatar Airways. So that is very useful to know because sometimes there's a transfer bonus from American Express over to British Airways. If that's the case and you're trying to book a flight on Qatar, then you're going to want to transfer your points over to British Airways, get that bonus, and then transfer to Qatar to book the flight. Now, in terms of cancellation fees for each of these partners, Qantas is going to charge 6,000 Qantas points in order to get the remainder of your points back, whereas Qatar is transfer a $25 fee for each ticket that you book. If you cancel your flight within 24 hours of the actual flight date or the departure date, then it's going to cost you $100 per ticket. And then if you needed to book a flight with a connection for some reason, in terms of like that's all that's available, Qantas is likely going to be your best bet. However, if you wanted to check British Airways, that would be another option that would have this flight available. However, I suspect that their prices are almost always going to be higher, but you can double check just to be sure if you're feeling a little desperate. Now, here's a big deal that may have came up. If not, that it's one that you should definitely ask. And the question is, how do we know if this points price is even a good deal or if we should be using our points this way? In order to do that, it's not a very yes or no easy question. It is something we have to figure out. And we do that by checking the cash price of the flight or flights that we're looking at. Points does make it easy. They have this kayak feature to where you could just click on it and it'll pull up the cash prices available on Kayak. So you can see the basic economy and main cabin fares here and for all the different flight options. If you don't trust Kayak, I went ahead and pulled up Google Flights here, and it is actually the same on Google Flights as it is on Kayak in this case. So let's compare this points price for that American Airlines flight that we're looking for. So whenever you're booking through Qatar, again, you're not going to be booking the basic economy fare. You're actually going to be booking the main cabin fare, and you're going to be able to book your seats whenever you book through a partner airline like Qatar and Qantas. So we're going to compare it to this $189. And from there, we need to do a little bit of math. Essentially, all we're going to do is take that cash price, subtract the taxes and fees that we need to pay, and then divide it by the points price that we're paying. So I created this nifty little spreadsheet that'll do that for you. You just plug in the numbers, and it's going to give you this number here, this cent per point value. And that essentially just tells you how many cents you're getting per point that you're spending. And the spreadsheet will automatically compare it to the travel portal on what you can expect on there. So if we toggle this to compare it to the American Express flights travel portal, we could see a flight that costs $189. You can expect to spend 18,900 points. And that's because that travel portal gives you 1 cent per point. So 100 points is going to give you $1 worth of travel through American Express's website. Whereas this particular redemption, whenever we're spending 13,000 points for a $189 flight, that's going to give us 1.42. Now, honestly, for me, the number itself doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how high it is, so long as it is higher than the travel portal or any other option you're trying to compare. Some people get caught up in trying to get the highest cent per point value to, all these fancy redemptions. But honestly, so long as you're not wasting your points and picking the poor choice that you have available compared to the better one that you have, it doesn't matter. Just take the trip and go have a good time. That's what the points are for. They're made to be spent. We just need to make sure we're spending it wisely. And that's what this spreadsheet does. And this is called my Award Redemption Analyzer. This is available for sale down in the description for you at a link if you're interested in that. Now, for the sake of argument, let me real quick show you what it looks like whenever it's not worth it to transfer your points. I've got this flight from Austin and JFK in January that we're looking to take, and I'm going to filter for American Express points. And we can see that our cheapest flight available to us to book is going to be this Delta flight for just 15,500 Flying Blue points, or Air France and KLM. And so we're going to have to transfer 16,000 American Express points because you can typically only transfer 1,000 point increments at a time. So we do have to round up there. If we look at Google Flights for this one-way itinerary, we can see that we have a cheap, suitable flight on American Airlines for $120. Now, the Delta flight that we were looking at earlier is $201, which is a lot more. But what if we are just fine with flying with American Airlines so long as it's a nonstop flight? Well, if we plug in that cash price and the points price with the taxes and fees into the calculator, we can see that we would just be getting 0.64 cents per point. And now, if we find the same flight on the American Express travel portal, we can expect to pay just 11,900 points. So if you really wanted to use your points for this redemption, I would say that the travel portal would be the better place to book. However, generally speaking, it'd probably be better if you paid cash for this flight and saved your points for a better redemption. We went over a lot of information just now. If you're overwhelmed, don't worry. You can always watch this video again whenever you need to redeem a flight. But whatever you do, don't give up, because this stuff does become easier in time as you put in the reps and book some flights. If you do it wrong the first time, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because there's always the next time. And my name is Michael, by the way, with Nurse Michael Travels. Be sure to check out the links down in the description. I've got a lot of helpful stuff for you to check out. Also, to be sure to subscribe, because on this channel, earning and redeeming your points for your dream vacations is all we talk about here. But now, if you're still brand new and kind of lost about the different ways that you can actually use your American Express points, I elaborate that much more in this video up here. Or if you're interested in some of the best transfer partners that American Express has to offer, I review and rank all of them, giving you examples of how to use them as well, from worst to first in this video here. I'll see you in the next one.